Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to the Product Marketing Festival in APAC. With product marketing experts from Singapore, Australia, China mainland, Hong Kong, Malaysia, India, and many other regions. We'll be covering all product marketing aspects from sales enablement, go-to-market strategy, to customer onboarding, positioning, and messaging. We got them all. You are guaranteed to walk away with tons of new ideas and strategies to take your product to the next level. I would also like to take this chance to say a big thank you to all festival speakers. We cannot make this without you. Also, thanks for the support from iClick Interactive. Their presentation, Discover the Secret to Adapting Data-Driven Marketing in China, is scheduled at day 1 afternoon, 3:30 Singapore time. I highly recommend it if you have not signed up for it yet. Last but not the least, if you would like to interact with our speakers and other attendees, please join our group page link at the end. We look forward to the Q&A session and your feedback over there. Relax and enjoy the festival.
iClick Interactive's marketing technology platform is fueled by data. Our data helps to drive, connect, and enable every step of all marketing activities conducted on our platform. When marketing to China, the key challenge lies in the lack of quality and deployable data to start with. And this is where we come in to help. Every brand has its own target segment, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. With our proprietary keyword-based audience identification engine, a unique solution among online marketing technology platforms in China, we help brands to move from rigid, predefined audience categories to intuitively defining their own custom target segments. The intelligence comes with in-depth audience knowledge in a multi-dimensional manner, from demographics and geographies to psychographics, giving brands meaningful understanding of their target segments on what they do, what they like, and what they care about. Brands can then readily size up their total accessible market opportunity and decide if it's right or big enough for them. And we don't just take a snapshot of these segments. We're capable of monitoring their changes over time, helping brands to drive the marketing funnel down from potential audiences and brand followers to website visitors and owned users. Brands can also benchmark specific product portfolio followers with actual sales to identify areas for growth. Getting to know your competitors is just as important as knowing your customers. Our platform allows brands to learn about their own position in the market as well as that of their competitors, helping brands to adjust their overall brand strategy. While the intelligence is good for decision-making purpose, brands can actually activate the data right away on the same platform via our massive media network in China, delivering messages to their target segments via the right channel, on the right device, at the right time. We also help brands conduct online-offline conversion by mapping their audience hotspots in the Chinese cities to develop data-driven, location-based retail strategy, intelligently converting online traffic to offline leads and realize smart online-offline integration. Having an accurate grasp of data intelligence is a vital first step to any successful marketing initiatives. With our ever-growing data capabilities, we look forward to empowering brands on their China-targeted marketing initiatives.
Hi, I'm Piyush Varanjani. I'm the Product Marketing Manager at TransferWise. TransferWise is building the best way to move money around the world. Today, we'll be talking about three main things. One is what's our mission, how to find your mission, how to find the customers who will understand your mission, and how to talk to them. So let's get to it. Our mission is to make money movement instant, convenient, transparent, and eventually free. And these are the four pillars which we focus a lot on making our product decisions and even more so our marketing decisions. But to understand how mission-driven marketing works, you need to understand why TransferWise is special and how we work. So what we have done, we have built an alternative way to send money overseas. So here's an example. If you're sending money from the US to Thailand, so you are sending money via bank traditionally. So you go to your bank, let's call it First Republic Bank. They will talk to their US correspondent bank, JP Morgan. That will talk to Deutsche Bank, Standard Chartered in Asia, then Kasikorn Bank in Thailand, and then to your recipient bank in Bangkok. So it's a whole series of banks they will talk to before the money actually hits your recipient account. A good way to think about it is it's like a Taylor Swift song. So you go talk to your friends, talk to my friends, talk to me. So it's a lot of steps. It's very slow and it's very expensive. What we have done is we have built, instead of doing one international transfers, we do two local transfers. So you send money to our local account in the US, and our local account in Thailand will send to your recipient's account in Thailand. So that makes it much faster and much cheaper. So we let you send money at the mid-market rate, the rate which you see on Google or xe.com, and we charge a very small fees. And this is an interesting fact. So Singaporeans lose almost $1.1 billion every year in fees on overseas spending. That's close to $650 per household. You might think that's a lot of money. Why do people lose it? And that's where the whole mission part comes in. Let's see if you will lose money. What I'm going to show you is two ways in which you can send money overseas. Case A, you can send money from, you're sending money from US to pounds. And what you're looking at, the exchange rate for the case A is slightly worse off than what you see on case B. So the exchange rate is much better when you're sending 1 USD to 0.7916 pounds, but you are paying a small fee over there. So you can pause the video over here, take 30 seconds and tell me what's the best way to send money overseas. Would you choose A or would you choose B? I will give you time to pause your video. Cool. If you had time, you might have seen that they're actually the same. So what it shows is that what money you might be losing when your banks say they're not charging any fees, they're just charging a really bad exchange rate. And that exchange rate can look like up to $50 in this case. So it's always very important to check your exchange rate because banks make a ton of money in this hidden fees. And that's all Transfer's mission is all about, to get that out, get that message out so that people are more aware. So it's a very educational driven mission marketing. We will go through a lot of examples on how we do that, but this is something to keep in mind outside this product marketing, that whenever you're sending money overseas, always check your bank's exchange rate. And this is what it looks like, what we just spoke about, the mid-market rate and the total cost. So how do you find your customers? What a lot of companies and startups do is that they will go to their customers, they will ask some questions, but it has a lot of biases. And that's why you will never find the bad skydivers, because they would most probably not exist. So many times you will see this question like, will you pay for the service? Yes or no? Most of the people, if they're your friends or they are good Samaritans, they will say, yes, I'll pay for the service, which is a very biased way of asking this question. A better way to ask this question to actually see the skin in the game is this: how much are you willing to pay for the service? 1 to 5 pounds, 2, 5 to 10 pounds, more than 10 pounds, not sure. Now the customers will actually think about how much they have to pay. And this is quite important when you're asking questions which actually show what the customers want to do. So how to know what the customer wants? You go and Google it. And if we do that, we figure out, okay, where should we go next when we're expanding? Should we go to the Middle East? Should we go to Africa? Should we go to some country in Asia? For TransferWise, we go to the World Bank and we see what are the largest outbound remittance flows. So you'll see, oh, US, then UAE, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Germany. These are the top 5 countries. But that's not what it looks like. The top 5 countries for TransferWise are very, very different from what this global available market data which you might see. What we do to find our customers is that wherever we are present, so we started in Europe around 8-9 years back in 2011. And what we did that if we were not present in a country, so you go to transferwise.com and let's say you want to send money from Myanmar to the US. You go there, you select the country, and you won't find that on the website. So you will see this thing, a small pop saying that, hey, can't find the currency you need. So now you can select, okay, I want to send money from Myanmar to the US, and you leave your name and email address. This is what we call a wisher. And this shows 2 things. One, it shows that people have the skin in the game and they have the need to send money overseas. And second, they're aware of TransferWise. And this is a really good indication for us to figure out which country we should go next. So we don't look at the whole global available market data, but what we look at our internal data is that where are people discovering about us? And that's something I can share, which we used just this year when we launched our new translations in Hong Kong. So we launched in Hong Kong 3 years back. We didn't translate our website from English to traditional Chinese, which is more prominent over there. And the reason for that was we got a lot of expats who were using us in Hong Kong, and we started slowly seeing in the last 1 year, people have a lot of traffic has increased for traditional Chinese in our Google Analytics. So when we were looking at the data, we realized that it shows two things again, that we're getting a lot more traffic from a language which we have never done any marketing, so that people have a need and they're finding us organically, which is usually a good indicator that we should go stronger over there. So we just launched traditional Chinese last month and it has shown some really good results. So always go back and look at your data to find new insights. This is what correlates when we launch in a country where we have seen a lot of visuals. So visuals is something which you see in light blue. Once we launch, we see a huge trajectory going forward, an ideal world hockey stick, which we see. So the takeaway being, only your customers can tell you what you want, not World Bank, not Google. So go talk to your customers and ask the right questions. I have a very unhealthy social media where I have tons, around 10 to 20% of my WhatsApp is transferwise customers, which is slightly unhealthy, but I do get to know them without any friction. So the feedback which you might see from your customers on email or on social media, it's still slightly filtered, still slightly friction on that. But if you are in direct touch with your customers, not to recommend for everyone, but when you are going new in a market, it's quite important to be close to the customers to understand that. So when we launch in a new market, I always have customers who are on WhatsApp or they have my email so that they can give me direct feedback, and we learn a lot from that. This is a screenshot which we have from last year, where we have this thing called mission days, where every 6 months we get together as a company. So like last year when we were doing our mission days in Estonia, around 2,000 of us were there, and we invited 4 customers who have stopped using us. So mission days is all about how good we are, how strong we are growing. And we had this session where I invited, along with my colleague, 4 users who have stopped using us. And that was such a revelation for all the wisers, the people who work at TransferWise, to understand that why people have stopped using us. So that again brings us to like stop drinking our Kool-Aid, but to actually understand what is exactly there what's stopping people to use us. And the beautiful thing about this was 4 out of these 4 customers, 3 customers had their problem solved the same day, because the product managers, engineers, once the session was over, they all went to them. They were like, oh, can you fix that? Can you fix this? And they were able to solve 3 out of 4 customers' problem on the same day. So again, always go back to your customers, even more so who have churned. So now you have some idea about how to find your customers, then figure out how do you talk to them. You're talking to me. So I think a good way to look at it is, what's your superpower? And I think you might have heard of this framework, jobs to be done, and similar frameworks, which kind of boils down to what's the problem your product is solving. So if you're using something like Grab in Southeast Asia to, let's say, order food with Grab Food or Deliveroo, what it makes you feel, you're working from home, you don't have to go down, you don't have to go to your favorite restaurant, they come to you. And it feels like you have your own delivery person. With Uber, when they started, it made you feel like you had your own chauffeur. So if you go there, the car comes to you, you know when it's coming, you go inside, you don't have to pay once you get out. It gives you that feeling that that's your personal driver. And I think that's the superpower which makes any good product or service. So figure out what's your superpower. I love this ad from The Economist. It's one of their print ads, which they did a while back, which said that I never read The Economist. Management trainee, age 42. Beautiful. Gets the point across really well. So it's, again, very strong positioning. This is something which I was on my phone on the bus stop and I saw this ad from Typeform, which is a service which a lot of companies use to get customer surveys done. So it's an Instagram story. It says, call my landline, what's on TV, rewind the tape, said nobody in 2020. Goodbye forms, hello Typeforms. And they are targeting the right people. It's more of a B2B product, but they're still targeting people which are more at some level of decision makers, but their positioning is really, really strong. So try to figure out how you can position yourself. A good way, there are quite a few frameworks to figure out that you are getting the message across. Some are, can you explain that to your younger cousin? Can you explain that to your mom? Can you explain it to someone who you meet drunk at a club? That's what your service does. And to kind of make it recrystallize, you will exactly know what to say. And that's good positioning. I'm recording it quite at midnight. This is this trend going on Twitter about we have a joke about, and I just wrote this tweet before getting on this call, this recording, and it has worked out pretty well because it worked really well with a customer space where we said that we have a joke about bank transfers, but it may take you a few days to get it, and you might only get some of it. Again, it worked out really well because our customers know the context, they know our mission, and they can relate to it really well. As I was saying, how to figure out your positioning, one good thing to ask your customers is, how would you describe your service to a friend? And you will start seeing how they think about it. What's their mental model to think about your service? It might not be the jargons which you think about, but it will be in very plain English, which you should focus on. This is a snapshot from one of our go-to-market decks, which we made. So it's more about figuring out what's your consumer value proposition, and then you kind of distill it more to figure out what's the product market fit. So you know how you're going to talk about your product, but who should you talk to? I usually do this product market fit framework to figure out kind of 3 buckets of customers. One is this NPS score. Most of you might know it. Just a quick thing, NPS score is you ask a customer, how would you rate this service on a scale of 1 to 10? Would you recommend it to your friends? 1 being not recommend at all, 10 being definitely recommend. If they score you between 9 and 10, this means they love your product, they're your advocates, which is the first column you see. This means definitely market heavily for these customers. So for us, these are European, British, Brazilian, and US expats. Neutral are people who are okay, between 7 to 8, they score you on a scale of 10. For these users, try to test and iterate your marketing to figure out what fits well with them. And people who score you between 1 to 6, don't do any marketing at all. You have the first 2 buckets to kind of get them on board before you go for this bucket. And that also helps to figure out who you should not market. So for us, these are people who are dealing with cash because we don't service cash. We only do bank transfer, online transfers. So take a step back, figure out who you're talking to, who you're not talking to, most importantly, and how you should talk about that. This brings me to my last part, which is about mission-driven marketing. So what channels we use to actually talk about our mission? So there are a few discovery tools, which is the tools which you will chance upon when you're using the product. This is what we call a price comparison. So if you're sending money over here, let's say from Singapore to India, and you're sending 1,000 Singapore dollars, you can see TransferWise is much better than the other 2 banks. You're going to save almost 100 rupees. But what happens if you're sending something lower? You're not sending 1,000 Singapore dollars, but you're sending something else. Also, you can see over here that, you can see over there that TBS shows that their transfer fees is 0, but their exchange rate is quite bad. So even if you're charging 7.95 Singapore dollars, we are still cheaper by 100 Indian rupees. This helps customers to understand, okay, they are cheaper and we should look at exchange rate. But what actually builds trust and for customers to come back is something like this, which is when you're sending a lower amount, which is 100 Singapore dollars, we actually show you that TBS is the cheaper way. So when I'm sending money to India, I have to send something less than $100. I always go with TBS and I don't use TransferWise. And TransferWise tells me that. And that helps you build trust when you go to a service and it tells you like, hey, we are not the best service for you right now. If these are your criteria, go with this other service. And that helps us build trust. A lot of people talk about our mission, which is one of the pillars we spoke about, instant, convenient, transparent, and eventually free, is that we make money transfers instant, the international money transfer. People talk about us a lot on social media, especially Twitter. This is something what you see when you're sending money from Singapore to India, which I was to the UK. And this was a Diwali time, which was an Indian festival of lights, where we show really cute animations to show when the money is moving instant, and we show you, hey, the money took few seconds. This is 4,500 times faster than a firework. So it's very localized instant transfer animations, which help people again relate back to the mission. So we have kind of these few places where we plug in on how to talk about our mission. Lastly, to show on the discovery tools is when people like us, they invite their friends. And one of the ways we incentivize them, we tell them, hey, you invite 3 friends and you earn $75. So that also helps them both emotionally, that they're going to helping their friends, they're going to come out as a smart person, but also rationally that they're going to get this sweet $75. Other channels which we use for mission-driven marketing is performance marketing. So we figured out, okay, what people are searching for and what landing pages they're coming to. So we saw that people are coming a lot for Singapore to Indian rupees, Singapore to pounds, and we make ads accordingly, showing a very localized way the Instagram filters, and it makes it much more relatable. So we look at our data and make our ads accordingly, which again goes back to the mission on how much cheaper, faster, and easier we are. This is a video which we made that has very strong positioning, which captured exactly what we wanted to say in 3 or 4 lines. 7 times cheaper than banks. We get free ATM withdrawal, get your free card now. So it distilled so well and it showed a lot of Singapore elements that became one of our best launch creatives, which we had in Singapore. And that only came because we went back and spoke to our customers to figure out what would resonate well with them. And yeah, we advertise back to our customers and they start recommending other people. Another channel which we use is out of home. So this is an ad which we did in the MRT in Singapore. That's my face. That's when my mom knew that I actually work in a legit company. So we had a normal version and a more Singlish version, the Singapore English version, and that worked out pretty well for us. That's a snapshot of how that ad looked like on the MRT. SEO channels. So when, as I said, that a lot of our marketing is based on how do we solve problems for our customers. So for a customer with a very high intent, they would most probably be Googling Singapore to Malaysia rate. So SGD to MYR. Someone who's sending their kids to Australia, they would search for Singapore dollars, Australian dollars. And whenever people search for these things, we are always there on the search results. So we spend a lot of time on our SEO to make sure that we are there when people are searching for these high intent keywords, but also for low intent keywords. So if you're a newly arrived expat in Singapore, you might search for how to open a bank account in Singapore. And even though we don't serve that right now, we show you our blog is the #1 ranking blog. So even though we might not, you might not become our customers right now, but it's again going for, even for a very low intent keyword, which you know that once you open a bank account and then you're a newly arrived expat, you will soon start sending money from Singapore to overseas. So thinking very strategically about who are the customers you're going for, how you can optimize for the problems you're solving for them. For PR press releases, we do a lot of work where we do a lot of research to figure out how much our users are losing money to international payments. And we give it out back to other media channels and they pick it up. That's another one, which is from last year, where we won the Best FinTech Award by MAS. MAS is the central bank in Singapore. We won around $150,000 and we decided to give it back to customers. So we went back to a customer saying that if you have used any service other than TransferWise and you have lost money while making a transfer overseas, we will refund that. And we gave out almost all of the prize money on that. Lastly, our community. We always go back to your community. So meet your community somehow. This is a snapshot when we launched our cards, our TransferWise cards in Singapore. We invited around 100 customers to our office. We had a good session with them. We spoke about our mission. We spoke about what's coming next, and they felt much closer to us. And they spoke about us on different social media channels, but more importantly, what your story and your mission is that resonates with them. So meet your community somehow. It could be in person. This is a snapshot from there, or just somehow it could be online through webinars, AMAs, and that has worked out pretty well for us. And if you do it well enough, they become a part of your mission. And what that looks like is this. This is from London, the parade which was happening, and our transfers were representing there. And one of our customers was so happy in the Pride Parade. They looked at us, they were like, oh, we love you. I love this card. So this is what a good mission-driven marketing looks like. So takeaways or quick tapaos is define your mission, understand your user's problem, and figure out what are the different ways you can solve that. Solve it with mission-driven marketing through different channels, and always check the exchange rate. If you have any thoughts or feedback, I'm at piyush.varanjani@transferwise.com, first name dot last name, or pv@transferwise.com. Thank you.